Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I just wanted to take some time today to talk about 5 upcoming queer horror books that are either publishing this month or in September. I think one might actually be published in October, but anyway, they're coming out before the end of the year. Now, I've read 3 of these, so I'm just going to give a little bit of insight into those. And then on the 2 that I haven't read, I'm going to do like a general overview based on the marketing that I've seen so far and what I've seen on social media as well. Now, for me, I am one of those types of people that I will read any genre, except nonfiction. I'm not a nonfiction fan. I will read nonfiction. I've read some for book club, but the common denominator among all the genres I read is that, generally speaking, they're queer. I do branch out and read non-queer literature, but for the most part, what brings me joy is seeing queer characters centered within the story. And so I dip my toe in a lot of different genres. I know I did a video on sci-fi and fantasy queer books. I want to do videos coming up where I highlight upcoming queer books in all genres. So this is the horror one. Without further ado, I'll just dive right in. The first book that I want to highlight is called This Is My Body by Lindsay Miller. Now, this author also wrote The Z Word, which was a queer horror book that came out, a zombie horror book that came out last year, I believe. This one publishes this month. Now, I have gotten a chance to read it. This book follows a main character, and she, when she was younger, lived with her mother and her uncle in a very religious, strict household. She wasn't allowed to do a lot. It's very Catholic. And as she got older, she realized that she needed to distance herself from her family, which sometimes you have to do. However, as an adult, she is a single mother of a daughter, and she believes that her daughter has become possessed by a demon. And so because of that, she has to go back to her uncle to seek help. I actually really enjoyed this one. I grew up Catholic. I'm not a religious person by any means, but I'm noticing that a lot of the books that I'm picking up lately have religion as like a central focal point. This book specifically, but then the next book I'm going to talk about, another horror book with religion. I wonder why. But I think it's interesting because as queer people, we kind of associate religion, whether consciously or subconsciously, with this like big bad, at least organized religion. And I know my experience growing up Catholic wasn't the best, and I've moved on since that, but I'm noticing that that's been a trend lately. The next book is Crafting for Sinners by Kiefer. This is another horror book where religion plays a key point in the plot. So this follows our main character who lives in a small town with her girlfriend, and a mega church kind of has influence over a lot within the town. And so she has to go to a craft store to pick up some supplies. And when she goes, she gets trapped and is essentially being hunted by the members of the mega church. Now, it's a survival horror. It's wild because she's in a craft store. So like, what do you think she's going to do to like fight her way out? It was creative. I liked the premise. And overall, I was very entertained with this book. The third book I'm going to talk about is Lucky Day by Tingle. Now, I am a Tingle fan. I don't even know if I use stan correctly. I'm so old. But I love his horror books. I totally vibed with Camp Damascus and Barrier Gaze. And so I definitely had to read the third book in his series. Now, it is a series. They're all kind of connected. Let me rephrase that. They're not connected. Like, you can read them in any order, but they're all set within the same kind of shared universe. There are little Easter eggs in the books that kind of give like a nod to the other plot lines. Now, in this one, it follows Vera, who is a survivor of something called the low probability event. And so in the book, it's a specific day where basically everything that could go wrong goes wrong, and everyone who does not die within that event is labeled a survivor of the low probability event. And she kind of leaves that experience listless and really unsure of her own existence and struggling with just being. But then a special agent comes to seek her help, and he needs her to help figure out a link between the low probability event and a casino that has some shady things going on with it. Now, I will say I've read all of Chuck Tingle's books. This one was my least favorite. I still enjoyed it. I still had a really great time with it. I think it does an interesting take on like bisexual erasure, like the idea that bisexual people don't actually exist. They're just greedy or stuck in between being gay or straight. And so I thought the way it handled that was really interesting. I loved Camp Damascus and Barrier Gaze way more than this. So if you vibed with those two books, I do think that you'll enjoy Lucky Day. The next book is You Weren't Meant to Be Human by Andrew Joseph White. This is Andrew Joseph White's adult horror debut. It's pitched as like a mix between Alien and Midsommar, which Midsommar was wild, and I don't know if I want that in book form, but I'm still going to read this book. Now, I've read one of Andrew Joseph White's YA horror books. I read Compound Fracture, which has some gore. So I'm interested to see the jump that Andrew Joseph White takes from YA to adult horror. I'm also kind of scared because some scenes in his YA book were a little intense. So I can only imagine that now that he's moved over into the adult genre, that they might escalate. I definitely guarantee you that there's going to be some body horror in this book, and if that's your jam, then let's go for it. I'm excited, and I'm also scared. I have both feelings. The final book is The Macabre by Kosoko Jackson. Again, another author who I've read their YA horror, and so I'm interested in seeing his jump from YA to adult horror. This book follows our main character, who is an artist and is tasked to destroy 10 different paintings that have some kind of eldritch magic that bring curses on their owners. I'm trying not to go into this with too much context because sometimes I like to be surprised, but it's giving me, like, I don't know if anybody's seen this, and again, I'm not even going to think of the name of this movie, but there's a movie with Jake Gyllenhaal that was on Netflix where art like comes to life and starts killing people, and I'm getting those vibes from reading the description, so I'm hoping that lives up to my expectations. So those are 5 upcoming queer horror books that I'm looking forward to seeing published and seeing people engage with them and read them. Please comment below. Let me know what you're looking forward to, if any of these titles interest you, or if I missed out on upcoming horror books that are coming out in September or even this month. So let me know. As always, if you want to keep a pulse on some upcoming queer literature or just hear me talk about books, give me a subscribe, please. I hope you all have a wonderful day.